Hey YouTube, John here again. Just a quick tutorial. Well, not really a tutorial. Well, yeah, it is a tutorial. I've had a couple of questions asked about manual flash and how hard is it to use manual flash. Well, the answer is simple. As easy as hopping up and down on one leg. For somebody that can up and down on one leg. If you've only got one leg, then you might find it a bit harder, but it's really simple. Now, I've not got a Nikon flash, so I'm showing you on my Canon 580X2. And I'm not really showing you what buttons do and what buttons where. I can do a flash on in-depth tutorial on the 580X2 if anybody wants one, but this is mainly just explaining to you what manual flash settings do. So on the 580X, that is ETTL. Basically, I can clip that on my camera now or use my triggers, and I can work in ETTL where the camera will do everything for me. Or if I press my mode button once, I'm now in manual flash. So if I press the zoom button, I can zoom from 24mm, well, I can actually zoom from 14mm to 105. Basically what that does is, I mean, you'll probably know anyway, but all that does is zoom. If I go to 105, it'll tighten the beam of light that comes out of the flash. If I go to 14mm, it'll widen the beam of light and soften it. So if I was going to do a massive group shot, I might want the 24mm or 17mm because I wanted to spread a bit of light into all the group. But if I was shooting one person, I might better shoot it at 50mm or 70mm. Sometimes to work that out, you can probably, when you've got your lens on your camera, you can, say you're shooting telephoto, you could maybe set it to just 70mm and leave it. Or it's entirely up to yourself. Take your shot, assess it, assess if you need a tighter beam of light. Sometimes though, I will give you a tip. If you were shooting, say you can kick off at your zoom at about 50mm and leave it there so that you don't have to mess with it to start off with. So you could just use your power to get used to that and then start implementing your zoom. But to squeeze a bit more power out of your flash, if you zoom into 105, or I think on a Nikon you can even zoom in more. If you zoom into the tightest beam of light and aim it where you want it, you can actually get more power out of your flash. Because obviously the more you zoom in, the tighter the beam of light and the more power you're going to get from that little beam of light. But if you widen the beam, then you'll also lose power. So that's another little tip to remember. If you was at full power and you weren't quite getting enough flash, say you was at 50mm, try zooming into 105 and try it again, you'll get a little bit more power. Anyway, let me just press this button, pilot button. So now if I look at this here, the 1.4 that you can see, that is a quarter power. That means that the flash power, if I press the button, the test button, it's set to a quarter power. Now, remember when I told you the 3-click rule? Well, the 3-click rule, if your camera wasn't set to adjust things in a third of a stop, then it won't work, but 98% of cameras are. Now, this flash is set the same. Now, I know the cheaper ones, like my YN560 and stuff, they don't quite work like this. You still turn the power up and down, but what I'm saying is this little trick that I'm going to give you for newbies. If from quarter power on a flash, I don't know if you know this, but from quarter power to half power is actually one full stop. It's the same as your shutter speed. Basically, if you double a quarter, you get half, don't you? And then if you double half, you get a full. You get full. A full pint. So if you had half a pint and you double that, you get half a pint. No, you get a full pint, right? So it's the same with a flash. So if I now press this power wheel, as I call it, now if I go 1, 2, 3, can you see what's happened? The 3-click rule's applied. I've turned it up 3 full clicks and now my flash is on half power. You don't actually have to press accept on the Canon, by the way. You can just take a shot now, but I always do confirm, but you don't have to. So you can see the 3-click rule has applied to the flash as well, because it's set to turn up the power in a third increments. Why is that handy to know? I'll tell you in a minute. But what I'm trying to say to you is, just to start off with, you can mess with your zoom if you want, or set it to 35 or 50mm and just use your power. Now, when you get more experienced at using manual flash, I could take a shot with that now. If I were to photograph that flash with another flash, and I could look at the back of the screen and know exactly, well, not exactly, but I know near as goddamn it I don't use light meters. I've no near as goddamn it how much I need to turn the flash up to get a near as goddamn it exposure. But when you're a novice and you first get into manual flash, you won't bloody have a clue. So you need to start doing this, even if it's just in your house and you put an object on a table and you put your flash on your camera or off camera or whatever. You'll see that you need to just learn it and just have a little play. Now it doesn't take long. I know you're probably thinking, yeah, it does. It doesn't. It's you could probably learn it in a night, an hour playing with your flash, and you could really have fantastic knowledge on how your power works on your flash. And I know on the Nikon they do like, I think my mate was saying that they do distance priority and all this lot, but I don't see the point of it. Either use ETTL or full manual flash. There's, you know, this doesn't do it. I mean, all I can adjust on this in manual is the power and the zoom. Now that's all I'd want to adjust. What do I want to adjust the distance for? That's what the power's for. But I think on the Nikon the distance maybe might help you a bit to get you somewhere near as goddamn where you want to be. But I'm not knocking it, but to me it sounds rubbish, but I don't know if it is. It might be fantastic. I know when I used to see my mate using it on his D7000, it didn't look fantastic. It looked like it were all over the bloody place. But anyway, so back onto the situation. Why does these 3 clicks, and or should I say, knowing how the flash works? So now if I go from half power, if you understand the video, you'll know if I go turn it up 3 clicks, I should end up at a full power. Right, great. So now we understand that. So what would happen if I took a shot? This is why this 3 click rule will help you out. It doesn't help me out like, but it sometimes does when I'm going in between apertures. So if I'm not using 142, 28, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11, 16, 22 or 32, it sometimes helps me because the in-between apertures, I don't always remember them. So let's say for instance I get I'm at, let's just go back to a quarter power, which should be 6 clicks, shouldn't it? And we're on 6 clicks there, and yeah, we've got a quarter power. Right, so if I was now to take a shot of, I don't know, anything, whatever, miss up, right, and I were to have an exposure there at a quarter power at ISO 100, we're not going to change that, at 5.6. Now, and I knew that I had the perfect either fill flash or exposure, whatever I'm using the flash for. What happens if I go 1 click on my shutter, which I think it'll take me to a 6.3, I think, if I'm correctly. Yeah, from a 5.6 to a 6.3. Knowing the flash and knowing the 3 click rule, I can just go over to my flash and do 1 click and turn it up 1 click. So that would now give me the same exposure at an that I had at f5.6 out of the flash, now at an f6.3. If I go another click on my flash, on my camera, I think that's f7.1 on the aperture. There you go, I've turned it up 1, it's 2/3 of a stop. Basically from 5.6 to 7.3 is 2/3 of a stop, and I've just turned the camera up 2/3 of a stop. Then if I go 1 more click on my camera, I've gone to an f8, and woe behold, if I go like that, 1 more click on my flash, I've gone from a quarter power up to half power, which is 1 full stop on the flash, and from a 5.6 to a 6.3 to a 7.1 to an 8 is a full stop as well. So that's why it's quite handy to know and have your flash, if you can, set it up to turn up your flash, which most are default, to do everything at a 1/3 of a stop, and your cameras, and it'll help you. Just like I said to you, can get an exposure, even a full flash exposure. It doesn't have to be, can either be full flash or mixed with ambient, doesn't really matter. But you know that when you adjust, like I say, if you go from a 5.6, if you went down from a 5.6 and you went down 1, I think that's an f5, isn't it? You could just turn your flash down 1 click and know that it's going to be perfect as it was when you was at a 5.6. Just thinking of anything else I can tell you. Not really. I mean, that's manual flash. All I can do is suggest you put it on, you either put it on your camera or off camera, whatever you want to do. I probably recommend to do it, you want to be maybe using full flash pictures, so do it in your house tonight or whatever, so that it's all flash, there's no ambient. Maybe put your ISO to 400, something like that, just to, all that'll do is make you flash so that you can, basically you'll get a load more flash. If you were to get 200 flashes at ISO 100, or 100, no, say 50 full power flashes at ISO 400, you might get 200. So that's the idea of turning your ISO up. So just mess with it, play with it, adjust your, if you're not happy with messing with zoom, just adjust your power and see what happens there, and then when you've done that and you're happy with that, then move on to the zoom and try that as well. The zoom really is quite easy to understand. Assess your shot, assess where you want your light to be, and just go from there really. I mean, a lot of my shots I just leave it around 24 to 35mm, unless I want to use it as an air light or something, where I only want a speckle of light on the subject's head. Get it as near as you can to the subject's head without touching them on the head. Zoom right in to a really small tight speckle and turn it right down on a 1/4 power. But anyway, hopefully that'll give you a better understanding on manual flash. Now, I will, if anybody requests it, I'll do a full tutorial on the 580X, but I'm sure there's a lot on YouTube, so there's no point. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Hey YouTube, just a quick video at the end of the lesson, just to show you a shot. Basically, before I put the flash away, I grabbed my son. The flash was on a light stand when I was recording it. I grabbed my son, I set the shot up on the left at 1/250 of a second at f4 ISO 400. Why that? Just because my camera was at that, so that's what I used. Now, I did use the custom wireless feature in the 600D to trigger the flash, but basically I got an exposure on the left, which is the one on the left, at f4 at there, right? It was all flash, there wasn't any ambient there. You can see how harsh it is. Ignore the shadow, it's just because I didn't diffuse the light, it was just on a light stand. I'll show you a couple at the end where I bounced off the wall instead, to camera's right, and got some nice shots. But basically all I did was, without looking at the flash, to prove to you, I adjusted my shutter button, which adjusted my aperture on my camera, one click, which took me to an f4, from an f4 to an f4.5. And all I did without looking was, I went into the back of my camera's, well, I won't confuse things, I'll say I did it on the flash, but I did it in my camera's menu, but it's the same as doing it on your flash. I went up to the flash and I turned it up one click. I didn't look at what the setting was, I just turned it up one click, because I knew that I'd adjusted my aperture from an f4 to an f4.5, which is 1/3 of a stop, one click, bang. And if you look at the right hand picture, you can see the difference in the flash exposures. They're the same. Then for the last shot, as you watch, I'm going to go change the right picture to a 5.6. I then adjusted the aperture 2 more clicks on my camera. Now I know I'm saying clicks and it sounds funny, but it will help novices, which is another 2/3 of a stop. I then went into the flash and give it 2 more clicks without looking, and I took the exposures, and then that's it. I didn't look at the camera the first time I've seen them now, and as you can see, they're all the same. So there's a slight variance, and it's just when the aperture opens and closes on the lens, but you can see that's why it's handy to know the numbers when you can. But anyway, let's just turn that off. Now, again, this is another shot. Let me just compare these two. Oops, sorry. Right, okay. So, first of all, feast your eyes. Basically, that's the same location. I stood him up and I bounced the flash from his right. As you can see, you'll see with the shadow. I bounced the flash so that it hit the right hand wall and come in. You can see a much more pleasing image to start off with, and I've also got nice highlights next to shadows. As you can see there, I've got a lovely shadow. The flash was also bouncing off this wall, filling in the shadow a bit. I could have moved him in or moved him nearer to lighten up the shadow, but you can see I was at f5.6. My shutter speed never changed, and ISO'd in. I shot this at 5.6, then I knew that I wanted to, just for the last shot, I wanted to shoot it at 2.8. No difference in shutter speed and ISO though. So that is 2 full stops. From a 5.6 to a 2.8 is 2 full stops. So all I did, without looking, I pressed the button on my flash and I turned it down 6 clicks, which 3 clicks is a full stop, and 2 full stops, and then I took the shot, and as you can see, they're slightly different because of the aperture opening, but the exposure's near as goddamn the same. You can see they're the same. I mean, let's look at the histogram. Let's just take it off. If you look at the histogram, especially the right hand side where the highlights are, where the flash has come in, there's no difference. It'll be just him head turning or the way it's bounced off the wall. So you can see by knowing them numbers and using the click rule for you novices, not for experienced people like myself, but for novices, you'll see it'll help you out in getting an exposure from your flash. And once you've got it, you'll then be able to do the same as using manual in your camera. You'll be able to get your exposure, and then you won't have to worry about it again. You'll just know that you've adjusted something on your camera, and you'll know what to do on your flash without even looking. Anyway, thanks for watching.